Hey, good morning, everybody. It's me again, yours truly, Robert Phoenix, and it is the 11th of January, 111, and the year is 2021. And we are in the aftermath of the event. People are still reeling, and there's still so much debris falling. I mean, what we've witnessed is essentially a new 9/11. So I'm going to wait for people to show up and hang out and try to make some sense as to what I think is happening. If you watched last night's show, I did talk about where we are astrologically with the sun moving into conjunction with Pluto, and it seems like that script is unfolding as we speak. So we got Z in the house. Good morning, Jennifer Fitzgerald. Good morning, Jennifer. Good to see you. There's Joe Dimitri, Ian Barber. Hello, Ian. MK, what's going on, MK? Justice Moody, Elbow Cough. What's going on, Justice? Dorothy Edwards. Hey, Dorothy. Nice to see you. There's my man, Steve. Thor at the door. We're going to have a really great guest this Friday, by the way. Wayne McCroy is going to be joining us on the Friday Farcast. He has a lot of very interesting things to say about, well, a lot of stuff, Asperger's, autism. So he's got a new book out, and looking forward to speaking with him. And then next Friday, we're going to have Ross Ben on, and he's going to be talking about some of the deep esoteric connections with his city, Philadelphia. Let's see, who else do we have? We've got Ryan. What's going on, Ryan? Good to see you. There's Michelle Taylor. I'm taking a break per all social media. Yeah, it's yeah. I think it's probably a good thing. It is a toxic minefield right now. There's Susie. What's going on, Susie? Happy Monday to you. Marie MacArthur, Ralph Winter. Hope you're doing okay over there in the UK. Uncle Glenn in the house. What's going on, Uncle? Tara Lynn from Green Bay. Titletown, USA. What's going on, Tara Lynn? Shannon Jones in the house. Nice to see you, Shannon. Let's see, who else do we have? Victoria V. Hello. Lisa Marie. The birthday girl coming up. Still dark in Oregon. What does that mean by power, Benjamin? Or just sort of a dark vibe? Let's see. Who else I have? Oh my God, Wayne, he's awesome. He's on Crow 777 a lot and does a Wednesday night live stream with Jason and the Great Baldini on Secrets of Saturn channel. Check it out. Okay, well, he's going to be on with me on Friday, and look forward to speaking with him. Dark vibe. The dark vibe is everywhere. We are living in a Batman script right now. We have literally moved into a Batman-style Dark Knight dystopic plot, and it's unfolding around us at an incredible speed, actually. James Weber. Hello, James. Good to see you. Good morning. Danica Rose. Hello, Danica. The apocalypse. Well, I hope we can get a few laughs out of this. Hey, Lisa Koloshinsky. Good to see you. Good morning. Michael Pafford. Good morning. Karen Moore. Love the hat. It's my old A's cap. Back when baseball mattered. Back when sports actually mattered. I have a lot of memories around the A's. A lot of really good memories growing up around the A's. Let's see. Tinfoil Tiara. What's going on, TFT? ZZZ. ZZZ. Let's see who else. Nancy Harding. Hi, Nancy. How's the puppy? I don't know about the puppy. I'm gonna say right now. I feel the need to put Alice Cooper Welcome to My Nightmare. I think one of Alice Cooper's bandmates is dying of cancer. 80s baseball was good. 80s baseball was really good. 70s baseball was good too. That's when my A's were kind of at the top of their game. But 80s baseball was really good. I think the 80s baseball was probably about as good as it got before the steroid era ruined it. I'm not sure about. I'm being honest with you. I'm not sure about the dog. I'm being really honest. I'm being really, really honest. I may have my hand. I may have bitten off more than I can chew with the dog. I'm serious about this. I'm being very honest. I may have to rehome the dog, even though I really like the dog. The relationship with the cats is not great, and you never know these things until you try. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a couple more days, and maybe I can get some lessons from our dog trainer, Christine. All sports are completely, Bob, they weren't always rigged. I will say that. They weren't always rigged. There was a time when I think there was more oversight with sports. I remember with Bowie Kuhn when he was a commissioner of Major League Baseball. Man, he cracked down hard on gambling. Back in the old days with Pete Rozelle. It wasn't Pete Rozelle. Who was the commissioner of the NFL? It was Pete Rozelle in the NFL. It was Pete Rozelle in the NFL, and then the AFL's commissioner was Al Davis. And Pete Rozelle was suspending guys from gambling, and it wasn't even football related. Like Alex Karras had to sit out, Paul Hornung had to sit out. I mean, there was a different climate. And I'll tell you what I think pro sports changed. I think pro sports changed when David Stern became the commissioner of the NBA. That's when I think pro sports really changed, because he realized that because when he took over the NBA, they couldn't even get the NBA finals on in prime time. You had to watch them later in the evening, like around 11:30 at night. They'd play the playoff games at night. I remember watching them as a kid. I actually kind of liked it. So David Stern understood the marketing of the NBA, and he understood that there would be certain teams that would, I think, benefit from that marketing. And then you have Tim Donaghy, who was the ref who was busted for gambling. He wasn't the only ref. And I can name you at least 3 games off the top of my head where they were completely thrown in the NBA. So it really changes when David Stern takes over in the NBA, and then in Major League Baseball, it really changes during the steroid era, because now they're allowing players to openly cheat. Bud Selig just completely looked the other way. Baseball was coming off of a season where they had struck. I mean, there was a season where there was no baseball, like no baseball, none, and they decided that they were going to allow players to come back with a vengeance. And then we had the big home run hitting face-off between McGuire and Sammy Sosa. So when Bud Selig was in, to me, that's when baseball shifts. And with pro football, obviously, it's Roger Goodell, who is a piece of shit. So, you can see how pro sports, I think, by succession, became very rigged. Now, there was always an element in there somewhere. Like, I'm pretty sure that the New York Jets stole that Super Bowl versus the Colts. I think they needed that. I think the NFL needed the Jets to win. They needed Joe Namath to put the AFL on the map. So, yeah, there's always been elements of it, but now it's completely rigged, completely fixed, and I can't even watch it. Let's see. Who else do we have here? They are now. Absolutely. Hello, Ashanti. Good to see you. They totally are now. It's okay. You'll find him a great home. He's really a good guy. He's a really good dog, but I'm just, I'm concerned about the other 2 beings in this household. Dogs are a lot of time, and I used to have a dog, and they're fine, but I never had a dog. Well, that's not true, but it was different, because I had a dog and I had a cat, and they got along fine. But it was reversed. The cat was a kitten, and the dog was an adult dog. So this is a reverse role. And I may give it like another 72 hours or something, just to see if they can sort something out. Maybe Christine can give me some tips, but I'm not opposed to rehoming. Although he is right here, just to let you know, he's right there. There he is. That's Ringo. He's a good guy. I mean, he's a good dog. He's just, I'm not sure he's meant to be. They are like having a baby. They are. Let's see. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Good to see you. NFL, it's really, Bob, it is so bad. I totally agree with you. The NFL is just like, it's unwatchable. It's totally unwatchable now. And I don't even have to watch it. I mean, I can watch the little stat tracker. And one of the most recent examples of it being fixed was when the Los Angeles Chargers, formerly the San Diego Chargers, were playing the Oakland Raiders. No, now the Las Vegas Raiders. And Justin Herbert had to set the rookie touchdown passing record on a Thursday night game. And he hadn't done it yet. So they essentially extended that game into overtime. And then what does he do? Well, he winds up setting the rookie touchdown record. And there are a lot of channels on YouTube that are dedicated to actually chronicling specifically the fixed nature of the NFL. The NBA is pretty clear. I mean, the NBA is easy. You could just call fouls on players and get them in foul trouble and get them off the court. You can not call fouls and have certain players hacked to death and it. So yeah, it's just like everything else. It's become the society of the spectacle. Pam Jerome is in the house. Cats are like dogs like children. Cats are like roommates. I would agree with that. Here we go. I love bodybuilding because of the politics and the pressure to abuse gear more than just steroids. Ooh, that's interesting. Do you guys see Arnold Schwarzenegger come out against Trump? What a fucking hypocrite. What a fucking hypocrite. All the hypocrites now are coming out and they're showing their stripes. Here's Jasper. Hey, Jasper. The Astro Cat is here. What's going on, buddy? There he is. There's the Astro Cat. Could get ugly. We'll see what happens. You're here. You're a witness to it. Oh my God. Gucci the Goat says, mine took 3 years to stop being a puppy. That's crazy. 3 years. Zachary K. Hubbard. He's good. I mean, Zachary's really good. He's got the gematria. There's some other guys, though. There's some young guys who are taken sort of the Zachary K. Hubbard mantle and run with it. There's this young brother on there on YouTube who totally breaks down the fallacious nature of the NFL. And even with the COVID stuff, it became just completely and utterly ridiculous with the COVID stuff because they could just sideline players. It was just like I've never seen anything like it before. It's like it was such a blatant like manipulation of so-called reality. And the example that I'll make is the Denver Broncos game, where they had three quarterbacks who were in a quarterback meeting with one quarterback who'd been put on the contact tracing list or the COVID contact, whatever the fuck it is. And those three quarterbacks could not play. They could not play in that game on that Sunday. And I think who were they playing? They were playing who was this pretty decent team, the New Orleans Saints. They couldn't play. They had no quarterback. They had to use this guy who hadn't played quarterback since his sophomore year in college, and he wasn't even very good then. And they kept the game on the books. Like, how do you do that? I mean, of course, the odds on that game are going to be, you'd have to bet like $200 to make 25. But if you had $5,000 to blow in a game, that's the game you put it on right there. Or $10,000, that's a big money game. But it's completely scripted now and not good. Just like reality. What is the procedure? What is that in your head? Is it still alive? Does it reproduce? Well, what are you talking about? What is that on my head? It's alive. It's called a beanie. Let's see. VV's here. Let's see. Great show last. Thanks. You know, I have to tell you, last night's show was hard for me because I was not incredibly inspired. You want to come up here? Oh boy, he wants to watch Cardinal TV. Come on, come watch Cardinal TV. This should be interesting. There you go. Watch Cardinal TV. He loves the Cardinal TV. Here he goes. Stalking the wild cardinal. And they're out there. You can see them. There's their little stash of sunflower seeds. So little does he know that. Let's just try to keep it that way for the show. Let's see. Loved going to A's games. They were great fun, man. The A's games were a lot of fun. My first A's game was way back in 1969. I saw Vida Blue pitch his very first game against the Boston Red Sox doubleheader. And they used to have these little mechanical monkeys that would come up out of the field and bring baseballs to the umpire. Charlie O would ride around in his big white Cadillac around Charles O. Finley. He had a mule, Charlie O. And they were the swinging A's, man. They were amazing. They were totally amazing. Okay, let's see. Hey, we got seared. I had to push through it last night. That was hard. It was a very difficult show. You know, because right now there's just, I wish I could be more enthusiastic and more upbeat about the time that we're in, and I can only generate so much in terms of, like, I can't project into something that's really not there at this point. I can't, because they basically have sealed off most of the exits, and there's a controlled narrative that's going on right now, and I don't see it changing anytime soon, unless for some unsuspected reason that the Insurrection Act, you know, is triggered, and we do go through a period of military rule. And, you know, this is what people have talked about. And then there would be a time when theoretically Trump would not be around. And then 3 months later or whatever, he'd be reinstalled again as president. Now, I don't know that to be true. This is all the chatter. And I'm sure many of you heard it. I'm not breaking anything new to you. You guys are hip. You guys have your ears to the pavement, as they say. And I'm not holding out for that, by the way. And I don't think anybody else should. I mean, it's not to say that you can't have faith. I mean, you know, we're playing a long game here. This is not going to be solved in the next week, in the next 2 weeks, in the next 3 weeks, in the next 3 months. It may not even be solved in the next 3 years. You know, we're playing a very long game, and we're talking about, you know, shifting consciousness, and we have been essentially infected by a massive egregore of consciousness, which has descended upon people and descended upon their ability to discern and really value things like freedom and truth and creativity and imagination and beauty. I mean, these are all things that I think that we can agree upon as guiding principles. Love, you know, the true spirit of love, true spirit of the Most High, in through each and every one of us. I think we can all pretty much agree on that stuff. And it may look a little bit different to each of us, but I think we can all pretty much agree upon it. All those things are under attack now. They're under attack. And I'm going to show you what's going on right now. They are pressing to impeach Trump by Wednesday, which is what I talked about last night, which gets into that Sun-Pluto conjunction, which is really sort of the very dark Saturnian core of this whole thing. So why don't I stop there before I get into too much more exposition of darkness, and let's do our invocation here. Dear blessed and holy Mother, Father God, of the great central Sun, within the universal light, which is light of Yeshua, Sananda, Emmanuel, and all the great avatars, we ask that only the highest and best information, truth, wisdom, and knowledge come through this channel for each and every one of us at this time. And in so doing, we affirm and decree the qualities of perseverance and flexibility, fortitude, compassion, discernment, patience, wisdom, heart, courage, humor, empathy, higher mind, and above all, love. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and removed at this time. All right. So just to give you an update, Jasper is on the other side of the computer screen, and Ringo is down here. I'm not sure they're really, they don't really know that each other's in each other's space, although Jasper, I think, is maybe a little more aware. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Well, it could have gone worse. Yeah, man. So we're gonna try to carve out some things here that I think are going to be meaningful for you. The first thing that let's just get some clarification as to who Mike Pence is and always was, and this is exactly what I was referring to. I mean, I've known Pence to be this. I mean, he's Pence was so untrustworthy. He was just so untrustworthy. And I don't know. This is from Henry Mackow's Twitter feed. I mean, just here. He's got the the devil horns. Oh, look at this. According to Politico, President Trump plans to award New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick the Presidential Medal of Freedom. How about this? All faith he has for nothing. Peter did the same. So he denied, right? Peter denied Christ, right? To me, this personifies Pence. This is a Republican National Convention. I guess this is when they nominated him as vice president when he came onto the scene. Look at that. That's a signal if there ever was one. Total signal. So the plan now is apparently to kickstart the impeachment process. That is the plan. That is, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is, right here. So remember, Wednesday is when we have the Sun-Pluto conjunction, and this is where we are now. So breaking, House Democrats will file one article of impeachment against President Trump, charging him with inciting an insurrection. It cites Trump's repeated false claims he won the election, his speech January 6th to pro-Trump writers, and call to Georgia Secretary of State to find votes. So that's what they're using as so-called evidence to impeach Trump. And I don't think there's going to be any I think that there's probably a lot of appetite to do that inside the House right now. Because if you stand against that, you're basically committing political suicide, at least in the short term. In the long term, who knows? Depends on who writes the history books. Right? So that's going on today. And then if they vote on this today, that means that it will probably go to the Senate tomorrow. And I think the Senate will be a bit more difficult, only because they still hold a majority. Like Warnock the Warlock, and John the Robot Ossoff are not in yet. And I do whatever you think of Ted Cruz, and I'm not a huge Ted Cruz fan, but whatever you think of Ted Cruz and some of the other Republicans, like Rand Paul, I don't think they'll have the stomach to impeach Trump. Although it will be very close. It'll be very, very close. So if that's the case, and they do go to the Senate tomorrow, then by Wednesday, when we have the Sun-Pluto conjunction, it could happen. And then you would have, I guess Pence would then for what, 12, 13, for 7 days, Pence would be president of the United States, which would mean he would fulfill his divine destiny and ordination. That's what would happen. And then he could go to, now some of the shit that Pence has been accused of is really bad. I found these videos of this guy, Tory Smith. They're really disturbing. And I've seen a lot of disturbing videos. Trust me. I've been doing this now for a while. And his videos were entirely disturbing. And they were disturbing because, number one, his claims are really like hardcore. Do you guys know about the Tory Smith stuff? I'm not going to play it. Because I already got dinged for Friday's show. And by the way, Steve and Chris have been, let's just say, they've been targeted for something that they'd never said and never did. And this is the environment we're living in now. They are in a search and destroy mode. A lot of you know that Joan is a dentist, and she's even come under fire where people are going onto her Yelp section for her reviews and reviews with Google, and they're attacking her. This is where we are now. It's like they have let the dogs loose, and they are feeling very emboldened and very empowered to theoretically do what the so-called quote-unquote MAGA people or the patriots, so-called patriots, did in Washington on the 6th. And that is a surly mix, man. Like, there were professionals. There were definitely professionals that were part of what went down on Wednesday. It wasn't just people that were just caught up in the crowd. There were some of those people, but there were definitely professionals. Hey, Jasper. Here, let me show you. I've got a few pictures I'll show you. Let me see. So this is some of the footage from Wednesday. I mean, this is pretty intense, right? Now, who in here is an actual Trump supporter? It's very hard to tell. It's very hard to tell. Who gets swept up in the furor of the crowd, of the mob frenzy? Now, there's one guy here who's got his hat backwards, and that's a complete tell, apparently. But, like, who is this guy? What is he doing? And here's a still shot. And it's, the thing about all the Trump gear and all the, the MAGA stuff, and it's a uniform, and it's easy for anybody to put a uniform on and to pretend that they're a part of a movement or a part of a team. It's super easy. And this is one of the things that goes along with this idea of national. I've never owned a MAGA hat, and I rarely wear any you know, quote unquote American stuff. Every now and then I have a shirt with a flag on it that I wear. But that's about it. So it's quite easy for, like, this guy right here. I'll tell you, this guy right here, this guy is not a Trump supporter. I can tell you that right now. This guy is full on Antifa. Now, I don't know about Crutch Dude. Now, here they are. They're coming in, right? And it's quite the scene. They're professionals in here. Talk about fixed, talk about rigged. And that's not to say that there aren't well-meaning people who got caught up in this furor and frenzy, right? Like this guy, he's not a Trump supporter. I doubt if this person is too. Certainly this guy's not. He's egging people on. Now here comes the tear gas, right? There's the tear gas trying to set him back. Now look at this photo op. Here's the guy that I think is the he's the guy that's the white nationalist, Matt, what's his name? And of course, we have Q. This guy is not a fucking Q person. I'll tell you that right now. Not that I'm here to defend Q. This guy, he wouldn't be wearing a mask. I think you're dealing with agent provocateurs. Doug Jensen was arrested Saturday. Well, let's see what happens to Doug. So Buffalo Shaman guy theoretically is not far behind because he was in the mix with this dude here, right? So it was a masterfully scripted false flag that included theoretical real life characters that got tossed into the mix. There's a guy who was trying to get on a plane. I saw the video, and he's trying to get out of Washington, D.C., and guess what? He found that his name was on a no-fly list. You couldn't get on the plane. And that was like 72 hours after this whole thing happened. Yeah, he's here. Jasper sees Ringo. Yeah, it's okay, Jasper. We're having a moment here. Ringo has not seen Jasper. So this is the Kristallnacht moment, and it is the and it's not the left. I mean, the left is just a tool. It's a tool that's being used against the so-called right. This is the insertion of the technocratic rule, which doesn't recognize left or right. It only recognizes power and runs on systems. There is no government with a technocracy. And what we're seeing with Biden and Harris would be a transition government and provisionary government, which I've talked about before. And that the next 4 years would be the completion of the deconstruction of everything that's gone on prior to, this time, since 1776, really. Now, are they going to be successful? I don't really believe that ultimately they'll be successful. I don't. But at the same time, we're dealing with fourth generation warfare, fourth generation tactics, and you're not going to make a dent in this paradigm with that kind of an event, especially when ultimately it was set up and hijacked. So, and I know that there were a lot of well-meaning people there, and there were people had gone to rallies, and the rallies have been peaceful and pretty uplifting, and a lot of really great energy. Just ask Ryan. But that's not what happened. It's not what happened on the 6th. So what else do we have here? I wanted to talk about the vaccinations. I want to shift topics here because, lost in all of this is the incredible damage that the vaccines are doing. And I ran across this today and wanted to bring this up because I think this is really another part of, we're in a place now where we're getting hit on at least 5 or 6 different fronts. And it's very, very difficult to defend against all these kind of incoming points of tension. So this is from somebody by the name of Haley Nelson. And you can see the vaccination card. So this is, they got the Moderna vaccine. So this is from December 30th, 12:29 a.m. Just FYI, I shouldn't have got this stupid thing. I feel like absolute shit. So does everyone else I work with that got it. My body feels like I have the flu. My joints hurt and keep having burning sensations. I'm exhausted. I can't lift my arm. I'm having tingling and numbness in my toes and fingers. I have a headache. My body is burning up, but I don't have a fever. My ears are hurting, and I keep having dizzy spells. I keep having heart palpitations. But you know who won't pay for any time off if we get sick from this vaccine? This place is making us get it, so I guess I'll suck it up. That's probably the wrong attitude, Haley. Just saying. But people are under, you need to stop that. You need to stop that. But people are under immense pressure in order to, especially healthcare workers, in order to keep their jobs. We still haven't heard anything about Tiffany Dover. There's been another doctor that apparently just died. The vaccine is bad news, but now it's taken a back seat, right? Everything that can be attributed to the vaccine is taking a back seat now to what's going on in Washington and the dog and pony show that's taking place there. So, this is where I think if you want to focus on something, if you want to focus on, trying to steer clear of something that's pretty pernicious, it's going to be the vaccine. And once everything is done with, the so-called, election results or lack thereof, or what are you doing? What is it? What is it? Now, this is my cup. I drink out of this cup. He's got a lot to say, this guy. Well, you want to get down? You can get down. We get down. Get down. But if you want to have a point of focus, I think that's really where it's going to be. Like I would not pay a whole lot of attention to what's going on right now post January 6th fiasco. And if there's any sort of counter intel or countermeasures that are going to be carried out, they'll be carried out. And I think hoping on a wing and a prayer that this stuff is going to happen, that somehow Simon Parks is going to have the inside skinny on how this is all going to go down, I think is a wishful thinking. I think it's very wishful thinking. And that doesn't mean that you can't abandon your faith and this idea that this thing is going to ultimately resolve itself, and it will. But we're in a long game, and remember, oh my God, he's something else. You want to get down? Get down. Let's see what it's like when you get down. All right. At least I can think a little bit. We're in a long game. When we had our event in the Hill Country, I did a presentation, and I tried to play it a couple weeks ago, and it's close to 2 hours. Unfortunately, the volume was off, and I was overmodulating. But it was really from 2030 looking backwards, and we will get there. We will get there. Trust me, we're going to get there. But the interim between now and 2030 is going to be really tricky, really tricky. And even if somehow, the magical solution, which will be, the Insurrection Act and the shutdown of the internet and military rule for 3 months, and Trump comes into office, even if that supposedly is going to happen, that is not going to be an easy, that's not going to be an easy solution. That's not going to be an easy path anyway, because you have an entire planet that is hell bent right now on flipping this country and essentially instituting a top-down corporatocratic rule vis-a-vis, the Chinese social credit system. And that's what they want. And they ultimately are going to enact, they're going to have their new version of the Patriot Act. By the way, Joe Biden apparently was one of the authors of the first Patriot Act, which didn't get passed through. But they did have the Anti-Terror Act, which I think that he was a part of and helped author. And they've got a 22,000-page, anti-terrorist act now that they're ready to roll out. And then after that, they're going to have the Civil Rights Act, the Second Civil Rights Act. That's going to happen. And these are the things that they'll use to dismantle the final pieces of this country. And the goal, again, would be to have this top-down technocratic, rule vis-a-vis the Chinese social credit score. And, and do I think it's going to happen? No, ultimately I don't. But this is not going to be an easy path. And even, like I said, even if somehow, the magical solution appears with Trump and the Insurrection Act and shutting everything down, the entire world, from Russia to China to even Israel, the EU, they're bent on a particular course of action for the entire planet. They don't call it the New World Order for nothing. It's not like, well, the partial world order, or, it's not that. It's not the new half world order. It is the New World Order. And this is the rollout. So even if somehow they're able to do what they theoretically need to do here in this country, it will have to be done by means that we're not used to as a country. We're just not going to, we're not used to it. And that's the most optimistic side. And that means that we'll be pitted against, theoretically, the rest of the world that really is invested in rolling out this new program. So it's not just, the so-called United States, it's the entire planet. And life is a momentum game. And one side has serious momentum right now. Serious momentum. And they control the media, they control the mainstream media, and now they control the alternative media. That's pretty clear. Whatever they've done to, there was, I think, 1.7 million people that had a Facebook page where they were not recognizing Joe Biden as president, and Facebook just deleted the group. It's like that. They deleted Brandon Straka's walkaway group, 450,000 people like that. Those are former Democrats said, I'm done with this. So the one thing that Trump didn't do when he was the president is he didn't deal with this shit. There are at least 4 or 5 things that I think really should have been addressed and were never really addressed. And this is one of them. The First Amendment stuff really just went unchecked, totally unchecked. And, It was okay until Twitter decided to deplatform Trump. And after that, it became an issue. And I heard that he was furious about when Twitter banned him. That's what I've heard. So, it goes back to that adage. We are the ones that we've been waiting for ultimately. And, we're the white hats. We are the white hats. Yep. Russ Winter's got a really good article on his site, Winter Watch, and it has to do with the divide and conquer, the Capitol siege, psyop, a fiat accompli, and this guy Jake Angeli basically said that he was there by the invitation of Donald Trump. That's what he said. After his arrest, he said, I was here by the invitation of Donald Trump. Now, whether or not it was a personal invitation or it was an invitation for, the Q Warriors and the Q team, he was there by invitation, according to him. Who are these guys? Then we know this guy's a white supremacist, right? He was involved in Charlottesville, and I would assume that his buddy, who's shown up in other videos with him, by the way, he was rocking an Exile Jim hoodie. I actually called Exile Jim. I wanted to know where I could get one of those hoodies. The guy had a very unusual tone with me. He was like, that was from 2011. I said, oh, okay. So, hey, by the way, who was that guy in the photo? And he started laughing. Said, nice try, buddy. Try again. Have a good day. And he hung up on me. Interesting. This guy's got some sort of an official lanyard. And I'm telling you, man, this guy does not look like a fucking Trump supporter. Sorry. These guys are all plants. And that includes Mr. Angeli. They're all plants. So here's a TikTok photo or image here. If you guys want to see this. This is crazy shit. I mean, it blows my mind. We knew that they were going to go this level. We just knew it. And I know that there were people there who were there for another, like Ryan, and we had Ryan on the show the day after, and Ryan's intention was to be part of a very kind of uplifting and patriotic experience. And I think there were those people that were there for that, and it turned into something very, very ugly, extremely ugly. Now they're going to use that energy for their own ends. And I'm going to show you where the absolute and utter hypocrisy of the left is, and of the media. I'll show you exactly where this thing is going. So this is the 11th, right? This is the 11th. This is today. This is, I believe it started, yesterday? This is on the streets of New York City. Now, this is okay. Where'd it go? Oh, man. This is okay, right? They're okay with this. Oh, this is fine. They're headed to Trump Tower. Battle ready. Antifa protesters dressed head to toe in black and armed with shields march on Manhattan to demand Trump and Pence leave White House now. I wonder how Mike Pence feels about this. He knows he's safe. He had his Judas goat moment. So this is okay. This is fine. So these people are real freedom fighters. It's because they're anti-fascists. Right? But that's how the game works now. Everything is completely inverted. It's totally inverted. So the best course of action, again, I talked about it last night. You just got to go inside, right? You really have to go inside. And, if something does happen, if something's, if the lights go out or the power goes out, you need to be really aware, because in some cases, it may sound like a good thing, like don't worry, stay inside, don't worry, the power is going to go out, and we've got this under control. You really need to look at that and see if that really feels right. You need to see if that really feels right, because we know that they can hijack just about anything. I think the most basic example of that was with Millie Weaver and Shadowgate, and which is quite real, by the way, in how they use that software to hijack, alternate media, alt media messages, or social media messaging, and they can use it. They can just direct it any way they want, any way they want. So you have to be very aware right now. You really, really have to listen to what's going on inside of you, so that when the moment comes, that you are tuned in, you're dialed in, that you can actually be in the moment, right? And don't take anything at face value. Even things that you think are going to be, pro-Trump, or you have to really, really sift through it. And this is where listening and understanding where, and getting through fear, you have to get through the fear on this too. You have to continue to work away at the fear factor, so that you can be present, so you can understand and know what any given course of action will be in case something like that does come up. Let's say there is 10 days of darkness and the power goes out and the internet goes out. You don't know if that's something you can trust. You'd like to think it would be. You'd like to think that they'd be rounding up all the bad guys, but they may be rounding up all the fucking good guys. You don't know that. You don't know that. And I'm not saying this to be paranoid, but we're in a time now where, and I think David was talking about this last night on the show in chat room, when he was talking about the Neptune square between the nodes, the true node in Gemini and the south node in Sagittarius. Like, it's very hard to get a fix on reality at this point. It's very difficult. So you have to sift through everything. You have to sift through all the illusion, and you have to shatter the mirrors. There's that scene in Enter the Dragon where Bruce Lee is fighting Han, right? And he's fighting him in his lair, and there are all these mirrors, and Bruce Lee, is being basically confused by the reflection of evil. And it's only when he starts smashing all the mirrors that he can see who his true opponent is, who is Han. And Bruce Lee wrote that movie. He wrote Enter the Dragon. And Bruce Lee was incredibly philosophical. So he knew what he was doing, right? He knew that whole exercise of shattering the mirrors so you can see who your opponent is. And this is what we have to do at this point. We have to just shatter the mirrors, because we are in a hall of mirrors right now. And I think it's really tenuous to place your faith in, Simon Parkes and code monkey, or I'm just telling you. And I'm not saying that the truth can't trickle out through these rivulets now, because that's all they are. They're just rivulets. That the truth can't trickle out there. It quite possibly can. But I think you're putting a lot of full faith and credit into sources that have not really proven themselves over time, to be quite frank. So I think you guys know where I'm coming from with it. Let's see what you're talking about. Is he talking about the British seer? Yes, I'm talking. Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah, Simon Parkes is an unusual guy. I mean, he claims to be kind of like, some sort of a mantid being, right? He claims to be a mantid being or something like that. And I remember when he first started to do the internet stuff, and I think he even does like some kind of like counseling or something like that. And then he got elevated somehow to be like this, the latest sort of interpreter of Gesara and sort of the Q verse. And that happened really quickly, really, really quickly. So I think you just need to really check in. You need to check in and just find your own voice and your own signal. And I'll be here every day to try to sift through the stuff. But we're in a time of darkness. I can't stress that enough. In the next 72 hours, I think it's going to get quite dark. And and once the sun passes over that Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, we may get a bit of a better picture. It may not be a pretty picture, but we'll get a bit of a better picture. I will say, though, that Harris has still not given up her Senate seat, and Biden has still not been seen for a while, although we know that they can pretty much dish out copies when needed. That's never been a problem for these people. Let's see. Dominion is suing Sidney Powell for, well, yeah, they're suing Sidney Powell for what, some $1 billion or something like that. And we'll see where that goes. I mean, theoretically, Sidney Powell would be able to get disclosure and really get into the Dominion thing. But at this point now, what kind of court and what kind of judge will rule favorably? I mean, I think that we've seen that that's really a very difficult path to take at this point in time. It's a real, spin of the wheel. And even if you get a jury of your peers, which seems to be less and less the case these days, everything just seems to go before a judge and is judged summarily. Hold on a second. All right, what are you doing? All right, there we go. That I don't think she'll have much of a chance in court right now. Remember, life is a momentum game, and everything momentum-wise has swung drastically in a very different direction. And that's just the way it is, right? And guess what? The momentum will swing back again at some point in time, because that's how the universe works. It is a pendulum of sorts, and we're in the pit. All right, let's see what we have here. That's why you're a great voice of reason. Tamara, I wish I could be more right now. I really do. I wish I had the secret sauce, and I wish I could wave my magic wand right here, right? I wish I could wave my magic wand, and we wouldn't be in Kansas, or maybe we would be in Kansas again, whatever analogy you want to make. But this is where things are at. I mean, we have seen the mainstream media. We've seen the decimation of the alternative media. We have seen Congress and the Senate essentially turn on the president of the United States, and everybody who was close to the president of the United States has turned on him. Then it comes down to ultimately, how we judge Trump at this point. And one of the things that I talked about a long time ago is this idea of Trump as the wicker man. And, the wicker man is this guy who goes to the wicker man is an old ritual where they actually sacrifice and burn somebody for a village. And it was made, the movie The Wicker Man with Christopher Lee was made in the 1960s, one of those Hammer movies. And in it, an unsuspecting guy who wanders into this village gets sort of seduced by the villagers. And they have this wicker man that they build, and they wind up getting this guy in there, and he can't get out, and they burn it. Burning Man was a modern day version of the Wicker Man, sans the actual person inside of it. Now, what's really interesting about Burning Man is that I think wasn't last year. It was like two Burning Men ago. There was a guy that actually threw himself into the Burning Man itself, right? And that was really, when I saw that happen, it was like, well, I didn't see it happen, but when I knew it happened, that was the end. That was the end of Burning Man. I think they have one more Burning Man after that, and then it's been canceled. So I've often thought of Trump as being a modern day version of the Wicker Man. I talked about that a long time ago, that he would be set up and then ultimately lured into this structure in this edifice and then lit on fire. And, I don't think the book is finished on Trump. And I think he has, the one thing that keeps coming back to me around this is that he has too much invested in his kids and his quote unquote fortune and his dynasty. Because if this continues to go the way that it's going, it will be very much like the book that was written about Baron Trump, the time traveler. I mean, it will be bad. They will hunt his family down. They will ruin every single one of his businesses. They'll be sued. They'll be sued because of the damages that were done theoretically to the people that were theoretically killed at the protest in DC. I mean, they will haunt him and his family for the rest of their days. I mean, they will be the new Romanovs. So if you're Trump, do you want to risk that? Would you do anything in your power, even if you had any power left, in order to change that? Well, of course you would. Absolutely, unless you're going to live the rest of your days in exile in Israel, where Mike Pence will probably be after this is all said and done. It's going to be very interesting, even with this mind lock that they've created around this idea of patriots, or people that are Trump supporters or MAGA people. You're going to have 70 million people that still will not recognize a Biden presidency, and they know that. So they will act quite swiftly in order to deal with that. So, hang on to yourselves, as David Bowie once said, and try to find some humor, some dark humor in all of this, because it's there if you can find it. And again, I'm really urging people to, cut out a lot of the social media stuff and just try to go inside. And it's a good time to do that. It's fucking cold here. We got snow on some roofs still. I got snow in my truck. This is the time of year to do it. And find that spark within you. And be able to keep it alive. You got to keep this thing alive, whatever it takes. And I'll be here, but I will be moving. That much I can assure you. We're going to be moving to my website. I got to call into my web person, and I'm going to be dealing with a lot of the issues around my website, which I think are important, need to be dealt with, and including being able to stream through there, and hopefully I'll have a plan here by the time the sun moves into Aquarius. When I first started doing my web streaming stuff, or my podcasting stuff, I have the chart for it. Let me see if I can find it. I still have the chart to this day. And I started in February of 2010. So this would be the 11-year anniversary in February of doing this. And I started off on Blog Talk Radio. So let me see if I can find it. I think I still have it here. Let me see. It may be on my other list. But it was in here it is right here. Yeah. I'll show you. So this is the chart for when I first did Free Association Radio. This is back on Spreaker. So it was February 12th at 11 a.m. Right? And we had sun, and the moon was in Aquarius. It wasn't quite new. And then we had the midheaven at 3 degrees. So maybe I'll shoot for something like this right around that time, February 12th. It gives me enough time to kind of rewire things. And this will be the 11th year anniversary coming up of doing this. So Mars was in Leo right there. See that? Which makes sense in a lot of ways. Good 11th house. Venus-Jupiter conjunction. Yeah, we got a yod there, right? Saturn-Mars resolving in relationship. True node in Capricorn in the 9th house. So that was it. That was the chart for the very first broadcast, and it's time. I think it's really time, and it all started, through my website and my blog, which I was doing primarily, and then I bounced into the podcast world in 2011, and that was good. It was a good time. It was a really good time starting off, and I had Jay Widener. I think Jay Widener was my second guest, second or third guest. I think my first guest was I think it might have been this kid Abdul Gentili, who was from Houston and claimed he discovered time travel. I think that he might have been my first guest. Anyway, I'll keep you guys posted in terms of how we're going to do this, and I'll feel, I think, a lot more free in a lot of ways. And I think it'll be good because we'll be able to chat inside there. And I know a lot of people don't want to chat on YouTube, so I'll set up a chat client, and that'll be part of the next round of action here. And I think that's going to be part of the kind of the going within and doing something different. And what I'll do is I'll stream for about a half an hour here on YouTube, and maybe a few other places if I can go downstream, maybe like D Live or something like that. And then we'll bring it inside after the first half hour. And then if you're in, you're in. And I hope as many of you can be a part of it as possible, so we can continue to do what we do and build our community, because really that's what we've been, and that's where we'll continue to go. And it's been one of the things that's kept me going, because I have relationships with a lot of you, even if I haven't met you in person. And a lot of you I have met in person, and it's really kept me going. And it's been a huge part of my life, and a very important one as well. And I think ultimately, this is going to be, our model. because we're I just keep getting that we're splitting. Our worlds are we're splitting. We're just going in two different directions, and it's becoming really really clear, really clear. And I think ultimately, if we want to create the world that we want to be in, or the world that we want to inhabit, we have to take some responsibility and accountability for it. So hopefully, this could even result in maybe other projects that can be more physical based. I know we meet once a year. Maybe we can do something maybe more than once a year. Maybe even do something with an idea of creating a new kind of culture. We get some. I mean, I've thought about this. I've thought about getting some land and having certain people come in and creating something new, and maybe we create a model that other people can use. Because I think that ultimately this system is over. It's over. And anything that's going to come out of this system is something that we're going to have to create. So until then, hang in there, and I'll be working on rigging everything up so I can stream from inside of robertphoenix.com. And then you guys can be a part of it. And we'll figure out how all that works. Okay? All right. I'm out of here. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this dog. I'm in uncharted territory with this dog. I really like the dog, but I'm also very sensitive to Jasper and Rosie, and I need to make sure that they don't get pushed out of the picture. And I have pretty good foresight and vision. I'm just not sure how this thing is going to go. Start a hemp processing facility. Yeah, I think hemp processing is good. You need a lot of water for hemp. A lot of water. Now, I will say this before I split, that there will be the mechanism for the Great Reset. And the mechanism of the Great Reset is that you're not going to own anything. So in order to figure this thing out, you have to be really, really smart, really, really smart, and make whatever you have as untouchable as possible. And maybe that's through a Lloydial trust or something along those lines. It has to be as bulletproof as possible. Let's put it that way. But we are in a consciousness game, so don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Don't stick the garden hose up to the exhaust pipe and park your car in the driveway, in the garage, and then let it run. We're not there. We're not there. Keep it alive. Okay? All right. I'll be back tomorrow. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to stay up when it's possible. Yeah, don't panic. Absolutely. Nope. Just look at this face. Right here. Right here. Look at that face. If you have any doubt that there's goodness in the world, look at that face. Bye for now.